Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're taking you shark tooth hunting.
Yeah, it's like a treasure hunt and a time machine all in one.
Seriously. Imagine finding a tooth from a megalodon. Those things were huge, bigger than a great white.
Way bigger.
So this deep dive is all about getting you ready for your own shark tooth hunt.
We'll cover it all. Best places to go, the gear you'll need, how to actually find those teeth.
All right, I'm hooked. So first things first, where do we even start looking for these ancient teeth?
Well, the U.S. has got some amazing spots, I'm telling you. Like Venice, Florida, you ever heard of that?
I think so, yeah. What's so special about it?
It's like the shark tooth capital of the world.
No kidding.
Yeah, there are phosphate deposits there, and it makes the water look super dark, almost black.
Whoa, so you're diving in black water. That's wild.
It's pretty unique. And then you've got South Carolina. Their rivers are packed with megalodon teeth.
Rivers, huh? So different kind of diving than the ocean.
Yeah, rivers can be tricky for sure. Visibility can be low. Sometimes you get strong currents.
So it's more of a challenge.
Definitely. But finding a megalodon tooth in a river, that's pretty epic.
That's got to be a rush.
Yeah.
All right, so Florida, South Carolina. Any other U.S. spots we shouldn't miss?
Oh, yeah, North Carolina's coast is another good one. They've got offshore fossil beds.
Okay, cool. So maybe a little more advanced diving for that one, though.
You might need some more experience, yeah.
Makes sense. All right, now, let's say we want to take this shark tooth hunting global. Where do we go?
Ooh, going international. Well, the Bahamas are amazing.
Okay. Tell me about it.
The water's crystal clear, pretty shallow too, so it's perfect if you're not a hardcore diver.
Right. So maybe good for beginners. But what if I am looking for something, a bit more hardcore?
Hardcore, huh? How about South Africa then?
Ooh, South Africa. Now we're talking.
They have a ton of different sharks there today, and the coastline is full of fossils from their ancestors.
So you could be diving with sharks and then finding their ancient teeth on land.
Exactly. Like connecting the past and present,
That's amazing. All right, so we've got our locations sorted now. Let's talk about those fossils. What kind of ancient sharks are we hoping to find teeth from?
Well, Megalodon, of course. Everyone wants to find a Megalodon tooth.
Of course.
But there's also mako sharks, ancient great whites, all kinds of cool stuff. And every tooth is different.
Really? So it's not just finding any old shark tooth?
Nope. You get different sizes, shapes. Even the color depends on the species and how it fossilized.
So each tooth tells its own story. I love that. But how can you tell if you found a real fossil or just a rock?
Good question. You got to look for certain things, like a triangular shape, maybe serrated edges, and a glossy finish.
Gotcha. So it's about knowing what to look for.
Once you know, you'll spot them pretty easily.
Okay, so we've got our locations. We know what we're looking for. Now let's talk gear. Do we need anything fancy?
Most of it's just your regular scuba gear. Wetsuit, dry suit, depends on the water, right?
Sure.
But there are a few special tools that are really helpful for shark tooth hunting.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are we talking about?
Well, first, you'll want a mesh bag. You need somewhere to keep your finds safe while you're diving.
Makes sense. Wouldn't want to drop a megalodon tooth.
Exactly. And gloves are a must to protect your hands. You're going to be sifting through sediment. It can get rough.
All right, mesh bag, gloves, anything else?
Ooh, and a good dive light, especially if you're diving in those murky rivers.
Right, that visibility can be tough. Okay, so that's the essential gear. But are there any cool extras?
An underwater metal detector can be pretty sweet.
Whoa, really? Underwater metal detector?
Yeah, especially in places where the fossils tend to be clustered together.
Now that sounds high-tech. I bet it takes some practice to use that thing.
Definitely.
Speaking of practice, what kind of prep work should we be doing before we go shark tooth diving?
Well, open water certification is a must. Most dive sites won't let you in without it.
Okay, so certified divers only.
Yep. And brush up on your buoyancy and navigation skills. The better you can control your movements, the easier it'll be to find those teeth.
Yeah, that makes sense. I bet good buoyancy control is key in those sediment clouds.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the different dive environments. Rivers, oceans, they're totally different.
Right. Different challenges, different conditions.
Exactly. You got to make sure you're comfortable with the conditions and you've got the stamina for those longer dives.
So certified, geared up, and ready for the environment. Now, how do we actually find these teeth?
The main thing is visual scanning. You're looking for anything black, brown, or gray that stands out from the seabed.
So we got to train our eyes to spot those subtle differences.
Yep. It's like a real-life treasure hunt.
All right, so let's say we think we found something promising. Do we just grab it?
Not so fast. Use a trowel to scoop up some sediment and put it in your mesh bag. Then you can take a closer look.
Smart. So we're not disrupting the whole seabed.
Exactly.
Now, are there any tips for finding those fossil hotspots?
Look for gravel beds, ledges, erosion zones, places where the currents tend to deposit heavier stuff.
So nature kind of gives us a helping hand.
That's right. You can increase your odds of finding something cool.
All right, this is getting me pumped. But before we get too carried away, let's talk safety. I know you're big on this.
Safety first, always. Before you even get in the water, check the currents, the visibility, the water temperature.
Those can change pretty quickly, right?
Absolutely. And never, ever dive alone. Buddy system is key.
Always. Safety in numbers, as they say.
And it's easy to get distracted when you're on the hunt, so always keep an eye on your air supply and dive time.
Right. Don't want to get so caught up in finding teeth that you forget about the basics.
Exactly. And always be aware of your surroundings, sharp objects, entanglement hazards. And of course, respect the marine life.
Absolutely. We got to be responsible divers. So any other tips for making sure we're diving ethically?
Don't damage the coral or any of the marine habitats. And check the local regulations. Some places have limits on how many fossils you can take.
We don't want to be depleting these resources. What else should responsible shark tooth hunters keep in mind?
Don't be greedy. Take only what you need. Leave some for others to find, right?
Share the treasure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've had an awesome dive. We found some cool shark teeth. What happens next?
Time to clean and preserve those finds. Rinse them with fresh water to get rid of the salt and sediment.
Makes sense.
You can use a soft brush to clean them gently, and even use mineral oil to make them shiny.
Cool. So from seabed to display case, basically.
Exactly. And speaking of display, get creative. Shadow boxes, necklaces, you can make some really cool stuff.
Like your own little museum. I bet there's a whole community of people who are into this, right?
Oh yeah, totally. There are online communities and fossil groups. It's a great way to share your finds and learn from others.
So it's more than just a hobby, it's a whole community.
Absolutely. It's pretty cool how this hobby brings people together.
I love that. All right, so we've got all the basics down. What's next for the aspiring shark tooth hunter?
Well, once you get the hang of it, you can start exploring different locations. Different places have different species, so you can really expand your collection.
That's a good point. Keeps things interesting.
Yeah, and you can always work on your techniques, get better at spotting those fossils.
That's like leveling up in a real-life video game?
Exactly. And if you're really serious about it, you can even join guided tours. Those guys know all the best spots.
That's awesome. Learning from the pros. All right, this deep dive has been incredible. Even I'm feeling that shark tooth fever now.
It's contagious.
What stood out to you the most from everything we talked about?
It's realizing that each tooth is like a tiny time capsule, a piece of ancient history.
I know, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And what a great reminder that we're all connected to the past. So for anyone out there who's ready to start their own shark tooth hunt, what's the best way to get going?
Do your research, find a good dive operator, get certified, and then just relax and enjoy the experience.
Awesome advice. So get out there, explore, discover, and see what treasures you can find. You never know. You might just find a piece of history that's been waiting millions of years to be discovered.
It could be you. Yeah, you could become a real shark tooth expert.
That's the dream. But, we've talked about all the practical stuff like the gear and the techniques. But what's it actually like being down there searching for these ancient teeth?
Oh, man, it's hard to describe. It's like, imagine you're underwater, right? Sunlight's filtering down, you're weightless, you're surrounded by kelp forests or maybe coral reefs. It's beautiful. And then you see it, this little glint of black or gray in the sand. Your heart starts racing.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. It's got to be like that moment in a movie when they find the treasure chest.
It really is. And then you carefully brush away the sand, and there it is, a shark tooth. You pick it up, feel how smooth it is. It's like holding a piece of history millions of years old.
Wow. Just thinking about it gives me chills. It's not just about finding the tooth, it's the whole experience.
Totally. And every dive is different. You never know what you're going to find. One day it might be a tiny little mako tooth, perfectly preserved. The next day you might find a giant megalodon tooth.
That's got to be incredible. I'm also struck by how you described it. It's like this peaceful underwater world, but you're on this intense mission at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird mix, right? Like you're surrounded by this beauty and silence, but your senses are on high alert. You're looking for those hidden treasures.
It sounds like a really powerful experience. So we've talked about the practical side, but what about the emotional impact? How does this hobby affect the people who do it?
It's more than just a hobby for a lot of people. It becomes a passion. It's a way to connect with nature, with the excitement of discovery, with these incredible creatures from the past.
I love that. It's like searching for these teeth connects you to something bigger than yourself.
I think so. It's like tapping into this primal fascination with the unknown. We want to uncover the secrets of the past. And when you find a shark tooth, it's like this tangible reminder that the Earth has this vast history, and we're just a tiny part of it.
It's humbling, isn't it?
It really is. So for anyone out there thinking about giving shark tooth hunting a try, I say go for it. Dive in, literally and figuratively. Embrace the challenge, the adventure. You might just discover something amazing.
It's a call to explore, right? To learn and connect with the natural world. What would you say to someone who's a little hesitant to try it? Maybe they're intimidated or don't know where to start?
I'd say don't be scared. There are plenty of places where you can find shark teeth in shallow water. You don't have to be a super experienced diver.
So it's accessible to almost anyone.
Yeah, it's more about understanding the environment and knowing where to look, and you don't need a ton of fancy equipment either.
That's good to know. Okay, speaking of finds, I got to ask, what's the most memorable shark tooth you've ever found?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've found some pretty cool ones, but one that really sticks out is this Megalodon tooth, almost 6 inches long, perfectly preserved. Those serrations were still razor sharp. It was incredible.
Wow, that's amazing. It's crazy to think those teeth were attached to these giant predators that ruled the oceans.
Yeah, it really puts things in perspective. Okay, so for someone just starting out, be patient. Don't give up if you don't find anything right away. And most importantly, have fun. It's a journey of discovery, Every dive is a chance to learn something new.
Love that. It's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share about shark tooth hunting?
Oh, one more thing. The shark tooth hunting community is really amazing. Everyone's super supportive and helpful. So don't be shy about reaching out to more experienced hunters, joining online groups, sharing your finds.
That's so cool. So it's like a whole support system for your shark tooth obsession?
Pretty much. You're not alone out there, that's for sure.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything there's to know about shark tooth hunting.
We've done a pretty deep dive, haven't we?
We have. From the best spots to the gear, the techniques, safety tips, respecting the environment, and the pure thrill of finding these prehistoric treasures.
It's been fun. So any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are ready to go on their own shark tooth adventures?
I'd say just remember that every dive is a new chance to explore, and you never know what you'll find down there.
Every shark tooth tells a story.
Oh,
It's a little piece of the past just waiting for someone to discover it.
I love that. And who knows, it could be you.
Exactly.
All right, folks, that's it for this deep dive into shark tooth hunting.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Until next time, dive safe, dive responsibly, and most importantly, dive with a sense of wonder.
And a little bit of that shark tooth fever.
Thank you for listening to the Kraken Aquatics podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.